The tire didn't just pop. It exploded. A brutal jolt, a violent skid, and Troy's taxi jerked sideways on the narrow forest road. Then silence. A kind of silence that makes the dark feel alive. Before I could even breathe, Troy slammed the locks. Click, 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 click. All 4 doors. His hands were shaking. Troy, why did you?
He didn't look at me.
His eyes stayed glued to the tree line. Denise, don't move, he whispered. Don't open the door. Don't even touch it. My heart climbed into my throat. Why, what's... Look, he pointed. Flashlights. 3 of them. Flickering between the trees. Moving slowly, carefully, as if they already knew exactly where we were. Ouch. My palms went cold. The beams grew brighter. Closer. Shifting between trunks. Circling us. And then I saw it. A white cargo van parked half-hidden behind the pines. Quiet. Still. No lights. Its side door slightly cracked open, as if someone had been waiting inside the whole time. 1 flashlight angled upward. Another swept across the road. A 3rd pointed toward us. Straight at Troy's taxi. Troy's voice barely made it through his shaking breath. Denise, whatever happens next, stay inside. The lights moved closer, and closer, and just as a shadow stepped out from the trees, everything went black. Before I tell you what happened next, I should tell you who I am and how I ended up on that dark road. My name is Denise Harper. I'm 46 years old, and tonight, I walked straight into a danger my father spent years trying to keep me away from. But first, before we dig deeper, tell me in the comments, where are you listening from? I love seeing our community grow. Alright, let's go back to where this really started. At home, hours before the forest, when the first warning sign appeared, and I didn't even see it. Hours before the forest, before the tire burst, before the flashlights appeared between the trees. I thought the night was normal. Funny how ordinary moments can hide the deepest danger. When Alan rushed out of the house earlier, he left in such a hurry he didn't even kiss my cheek. Just grabbed his jacket, checked his watch, and muttered, "I'm late. Don't wait up." Ouch! A sentence that shouldn't hurt, but somehow always does. I found the envelope he forgot sitting on our kitchen counter. A plain manila folder with no label. No weight to it. Nothing unusual. Except one thing. Alan texted me 3 times in a row. Bring it ASAP. Take the faster back route. Don't be late, Denise. That wasn't his tone. That wasn't my husband. That was a man under pressure. I grabbed my coat and booked a taxi. The app said the driver was 3 minutes away. His name was Troy Maddox. When he pulled up, he leaned out of the window with a tired smile. "Evening, ma'am. Need the airport?" "Yes," I said, settling into the back. "My husband's waiting." Troy nodded, but his eyes flicked toward the street behind us. "You sure you want to go tonight?" he asked. I frowned. Why wouldn't I? He hesitated. "Busy night out here. Strange cars on the road. People acting weird." I blinked. "What cars?" Troy opened his mouth to answer, then stopped. A vehicle passed by slowly. Too slowly. Its shape barely visible under the streetlight. A white cargo van. No windows. No markings. Engine barely a whisper. It didn't stop. It didn't speed up. It just lingered. For a second too long. Troy watched it until it disappeared around the corner. His jaw tightened. "Never mind," he muttered. "Let's get moving." Ouch! That tiny flicker of fear in his eyes should have told me everything. But I brushed it off. Just a long day. Just nerves. Just me overthinking. The first half of the drive was quiet. Dense woods lined both sides of the road. Alan's messages kept buzzing through my phone. "Are you there yet? Don't take the main highway. Just stick to my route." My stomach twisted. Why was he so specific? Why did it feel like he wasn't worried about time, but about location? Troy kept checking his mirrors. Hands tight on the wheel. You okay? I finally asked. He nodded once. Too fast. Just stay buckled, Mrs. Harper. Before I could respond, a pair of headlights appeared behind us. Bright, sudden, too close. I leaned forward. Troy, is that the same van? He didn't answer. His grip tightened on the wheel, and his voice came out low, trembling. Denise, don't look back. Don't look back, Troy repeated softer this time, almost like a plea. Which of course made me look back. Slowly, carefully, heart climbing higher in my throat. And there it was, the same white cargo van. Closer now. Too close. Headlights off. Just a dark, heavy shape rolling behind us, silent as breath. Ouch! Something in me stuttered. Troy, is it following us? He didn't answer. Didn't blink. Didn't even breathe for a second. Then, Mrs. Harper, just sit tight. We'll be okay. We'll be okay. Not you'll be okay, we'll. That tiny change in pronoun felt like a warning wrapped in comfort. I stared at his reflection in the rearview mirror. His jaw was locked tight, his knuckles white on the steering wheel. Troy, do you know that van? Long pause. I haven't seen it in years, he murmured. Years? Before I could ask anything else, my phone buzzed again. Alan, where are you? You're not on the route I sent. Turn left at Lawson Road. Lawson Road. A narrow cut-through into the forest. I had driven it once. Then never again. Troy, I whispered. Don't turn left. He exhaled hard. I wasn't planning to. Ouch! My stomach twisted. Alan wanted me in the forest. Troy wanted me far from it. Who was I supposed to trust? The van behind us drifted closer. Lights staying off. Engine barely audible. Creeping forward like it was waiting for the right second to strike. Troy, I whispered. I don't feel safe. You shouldn't, he said quietly. My breath snapped. What does that mean? He adjusted the mirror, voice trembling now. Because that van, it doesn't follow people by mistake. Cold spread through my chest. You're scaring me. Good, he said. Fear keeps you alive. We reached the intersection. Lawson Road cut sharply left, straight into darkness. My phone buzzed again. Alan, turn left now. I stared at the message. Then at the road. Then at Troy. Troy, why wouldn't Alan want me on the main route? He didn't look at me. Maybe, he muttered. He doesn't want witnesses. Ouch! A tremor ripped through me. As if on cue, the van's headlights suddenly flashed on. Bright, aggressive, aimed directly at our back window. Troy stiffened. No, no, no. The van accelerated sharply. Troy? What is he doing? He slammed his foot on the gas. Hold on, he shouted. The taxi lurched forward. Trees blurred past. The van roared behind us, closing the gap, inch by inch. We were seconds from Lawson Road. Don't turn, I yelled. I won't. But the van swerved violently, trying to push us toward the left turn, trying to force us off the main road, trying to trap us in the forest. Troy wrestled the wheel. Denise, listen to me. If he forces us onto Lawson Road, we won't make it out. The van rammed our bumper. I screamed. Troy fought the wheel with everything he had. But the van hit us again. Harder. The taxi jerked sideways. Tires skidding. Sliding toward the dark entrance of the forest road. The taxi skidded sideways toward Lawson Road. Tires screeching. Gravel exploding under us. The headlights whipping across the jagged tree line. Troy wrenched the wheel, but the white cargo van rammed us again. Harder. Shoving us fully onto the narrow forest turn. No, no. Troy yelled. He's forcing us in. The taxi shot into the woods, darkness instantly swallowing the road behind us. Ouch! My breath tore out of my chest. Troy, can't you stop him? I'm trying. He stomped the accelerator, swerving around the tight bends. But the van stayed glued to us. Too close. Too confident. Too familiar with this road. Branches slapped the windows. The trees thickened. The world narrowed into a tunnel of black bark and panic. My phone buzzed. Alan. I shouldn't have answered. But fear made my hand stupid. Alan, I cried. Something's wrong, someone is. His voice sliced through the speaker. Why aren't you listening to me, Denise? Not worried. Not scared. Annoyed. Like I was the problem. Troy is taking me down Lawson Road, I said, voice shaking. Silence. Then Alan spoke low. Controlled. Chilling. Good. Ouch. Cold washed down my spine. Before I could respond, Troy snatched the phone from my hand and hung up. I gasped. What are you doing? Saving your life, he snapped. The van rammed us again. The taxi lurched left. I hit my shoulder against the door. He's not stopping, Troy muttered. He's not going to stop. Troy, why is he doing this? He didn't answer at first. Just stared into the rearview mirror. Eyes dark. Filled with something that looked too close to recognition. Finally, he said, I've seen that van before. My throat tightened. Where? He swallowed. Years ago, when your father hired me. My pulse stumbled. My father? What does he have to? Troy cut me off by slamming the brakes. The taxi spun. Leaves and dirt blasted upward in a whirl. The world twisted sideways. The forest blurred into streaks of black and silver. Then, bang, we slammed against something solid, a fallen log across the road. I jolted forward, seatbelt burning across my chest. The taxi stopped. Silence. Thick, heavy, breathing, Troy's hands trembled violently on the wheel. That wasn't an accident, he whispered. They put that tree here on purpose. The van's engine hummed behind us. Slow. Approaching. Like a predator savoring the moment. Ouch! My heart pounded as Troy locked all four doors again. Fast. Desperate. Fear blasting off him like heat. Denise, he said without looking at me. Yes. I barely breathed. If they reach us before the police do, we won't make it out of this forest. Before I could speak. Before I could even pull air into my lungs. A bright flashlight beam hit the back window. Then another. Then another. The men were here. Flashlights swarmed the back of the taxi. Slow. Intentional. Circling like they already owned the darkness. My heartbeat thudded so loud I could barely hear Troy whisper. Don't move. Don't make a sound. The beams of light swept across the windows. Left. Right. Too close. Too confident. Troy, I whispered. Are they trying to rob us? What do they want? He didn't answer. His eyes flicked toward the white cargo van. Its engine rumbled low. Steady. The side door still cracked open, like a mouth waiting to swallow something whole. Ouch! A chill ran down my spine. The men with flashlights stepped closer. One beam hit the fallen tree. Another swept across the tire. The front right tire. It sagged. Completely flat. Blown apart. But we hadn't hit anything sharp. Nothing on the road could have caused that. Troy, I whispered. How did the tire? He inhaled sharply. They planted something. A strip. Nails. Something meant to stop us. My breath hitched. You're saying they wanted us trapped? I'm saying, Troy whispered, someone didn't want you reaching the airport. My stomach nodded. That doesn't make sense. Alan asked me to bring him this envelope. Troy cut in, voice trembling. Mrs. Harper, nothing about tonight is what it looks like. Before I could respond, one of the flashlights snapped sharply toward my window. Bright. Blinding. Searching. I froze. A shadow leaned closer. Tall. Broad. Face hidden by the glare. The flashlight beam traced the outline of the taxi door. Then the handle. Slow. Calculating. Troy grabbed my wrist. Not hurting me, but anchoring me. Ouch! I gasped softly. He whispered fast. If they pull that handle, Denise, that's it. My pulse hammered in my ears. The men stopped moving. All three lights pointed at our car now. Why aren't they coming closer? I whispered. Because, Troy murmured, they're waiting for something. Or someone. The forest went dead silent. No wind. No rustling. Just the low growl of the white van and the soft hum of fear vibrating through my chest. Then, a sound behind us. A twig snapped. Not from the flashlight men. Not from the van. From the other side of the road. Troy jerked his head toward it, eyes wide. No. This is bad. What? I whispered. He swallowed hard. There are more of them. My throat closed. More flashlights flickered deeper in the trees, moving in perfect lines, spreading out, surrounding us. Troy, I choked. Why would anyone follow me? His answer shook. Because they think you have something. Something important. Ouch. My mind raced. I had nothing. No money, no documents, just the stupid envelope Alan insisted I bring. One of the lights flashed twice. A signal. The white van engine revved. The men stepped forward. Slow, steady, ready. Troy grabbed the gear shift, breath breaking. Hold on, Denise. They're coming for the car. The men stepped forward. Flashlights slicing through the dark, closing the distance to our taxi inch by inch. Troy slammed the gear shift into reverse. Hold on, Denise. But the tree behind us. We're not going backward, he said. We're going sideways. Sideways? Before I could ask how, Troy yanked the wheel hard left and floored the gas. The taxi lurched, the engine roaring, dirt spraying everywhere. As Troy tried to angle us off the narrow road and into the small clearing beside it. But the white cargo van reacted instantly. It revved forward, fast, aggressive, cutting diagonally across the forest road to block our escape. Ouch! A surge of cold swept through my chest. Troy. He's trying to trap us. I know, he muttered. I know. The van screeched to a stop right in front of us. Headlights now blasting directly into our windshield. We were boxed in. Front blocked by the van. Back blocked by the fallen tree. Sides blocked by trees too thick to break through. And the men with flashlights kept coming. 3 beams. Slow, deliberate, hungry. Troy, my voice shook. What do they want with me? Why would anyone follow me? He didn't answer. He reached for something near his seat. A small metal box I hadn't noticed before. My heartbeat skipped. What's that?
He didn't look at me.
Your father gave it to me, he whispered. A shiver ran through me. My father. Troy, my father died years ago. Why would he give you anything? Because he knew this would happen. My breath froze. What are you talking about? My father was a teacher, not. Troy cut me off sharply. Mrs. Harper, your father wasn't who you think he was. And the men outside? They don't want you. They want something he left behind. Ouch! My pulse slammed into my ribs. What did he leave behind? I don't have anything. Troy's eyes shot to the envelope in my lap. That, he said. His voice cracked. That's why your husband sent you out tonight. I stared at the plain manila envelope. Just paper. No markings. No weight. How could this possibly? Troy grabbed my wrist, whispering fast. Denise, listen, your father told me this envelope should only be opened if you were in danger. Danger from what? Before he could answer, a heavy thud hit the side of the taxi. I screamed. A flashlight beam splashed across my window. Then another. Then the shadow of a man leaned in close. Troy locked the doors again, breath shaking, eyes wide. They're going to try the handles, he whispered. Get down now. I ducked below the window as footsteps circled the car. The men didn't yell, didn't threaten, didn't speak. They just tested each handle. One by one. Quietly, methodically, searching for the weakest point. The forest pressed in around us. My phone buzzed in my pocket. Alan. A single text. Is it done? Ouch. My stomach clenched. Troy saw the message over my shoulder. His voice fell to a whisper. Denise, your husband isn't trying to help you. He sent you into this. My throat tightened painfully. Troy, what's in this envelope? He opened his mouth to answer. But the next sound silenced both of us. The men outside stopped moving. Then a metallic click echoed above my window. Someone was trying to pry the door open. The metallic click at my window grew louder. Harder. Scraping along the door frame like someone testing every weak spot. Troy ducked low, pulling me down with him. Stay under the glass, he whispered. If they break a window, stay low and don't scream. I swallowed hard. I don't understand. Why are they after me? They're not, he whispered. They're after what your father left behind. The scraping stopped. Footsteps shifted. More shadows joined. 3, 4, 5 men now, all circling the taxi like wolves. The white cargo van idled quietly in front of us, its driver completely unseen. Ouch! My fingers trembled as I held the envelope against my chest. This envelope. What could possibly be in this? Alan didn't even tell me what it was. Troy let out a shaky breath. Because Alan doesn't know the truth. He just knows they wanted you to bring it to him at the airport. That stung. Alan wouldn't set me up, I whispered. He wouldn't. Troy cut me off with a look I'll never forget. Denise. Alan contacted these people. Someone at the airport called me before I picked you up. They said your husband arranged the route. Said you wouldn't make it without help. The words punched a hole right through my chest. I shook my head. No, Alan wouldn't. You saw the text. Is it done? He thinks you're already gone. Ouch. My breath shattered. The scraping noise started again. This time on Troy's side. A man's silhouette leaned close. Flashlight beam pressed against the glass. Hands trying to wedge something between the door and the frame. Troy gripped my forearm. They're not thieves, he whispered. They're professionals. And they were told you had something they needed. My father, I breathed. Troy nodded slowly. Your father wasn't a teacher, Denise. He was an investigator. A very good one. And he uncovered something that put him on these men's radar. He trusted only a few people, and he left that envelope for you because he knew, someday, they'd come looking for it. My world tilted. All these years, I whispered. I never knew. A sudden bang slammed into the trunk. I yelped, heart jumping into my throat. Troy peeked through the rear window. They're trying to break in from the back. Another bang. Louder. More urgent. We need to move, Troy whispered.
How?
I choked. We're boxed in. He pointed at a narrow path between the trees, barely wider than the taxi itself. That's our only chance. If I hit the gas at the right angle. Before he could finish, all the flashlights shut off. Dark, silent, dead still. The hair on my arms lifted. Troy, I whispered. Why did they turn them off? He swallowed. They're shifting positions. They're coordinating. A soft crunch of leaves sounded on my side. Then a voice. Low. Chilling. Spoke from the darkness outside my window. Open the door, Mrs. Harper. We just want the envelope. Ouch. Troy's breath hitched. Don't move, he mouthed. I froze. Envelope clutched to my chest. As the handle on my door twitched, the door handle twitched again. Slow. Deliberate. As if the man outside was savoring the moment before tearing the taxi open. Troy shoved his shoulder against the door from inside, bracing it with his full weight. Back away, he shouted. His voice shook, but he forced strength into it. You're not getting in. No response. Just breathing, not heavy, not rushed, calm, like someone who had all the time in the world. Ouch! Goosebumps rippled across my arms. Troy, why are they so quiet? I whispered. He didn't look at me. Because they're trained. And trained people don't talk unless they're certain. Certain of what? I whispered. That you'll break. My stomach flipped. The man outside pressed the flashlight against the glass, light flooding the interior. My own terrified reflection staring back at me. Troy whispered, Stay below the window. Don't give him a clear view. I ducked lower. My heart wouldn't stop pounding. They just want the envelope, the man repeated. Voice syrupy. Controlled. Terrifyingly patient. Give it to us, and this ends. Troy, I choked. Should I? No, he snapped sharply. Whatever's in that envelope, your father believed it could destroy these people. And Alan tried to send it straight into their hands. Ouch. Pain cracked down my chest. My father, my husband, both keeping secrets from me? Troy's voice softened just an inch. Your father kept secrets to protect you. He paused. Alan kept secrets to use you. Before I could respond, the white cargo van revved, not moving forward, but inching backward, slowly, blocking the only escape path Troy had spotted. Troy cursed under his breath. They're boxing us in completely. Can we go deeper into the woods? I whispered. He eyed the narrow space between two thick pines. We might fit, but if I misjudge even an inch, we crash. Ouch. Fear shot through me. The man outside jiggled a handle again, harder this time, trying to pop the lock. Troy pressed harder against the door. They're losing patience, he whispered. Another flashlight appeared. Then another. 3 beams now pointed straight into the taxi. The men stepped closer, their shadows stretching across the hood, circling. Troy, I whispered. We have to do something. He nodded slowly. There's only one way out. He pointed to the narrow gap between the trees. We're going through it. My pulse leapt. Can the car even fit? We'll find out, he said. He shifted into drive, hands shaking, eyes locked on the tiny opening in the darkness. Hold on, Mrs. Harper. The men outside must have sensed movement. They rushed the car, slapping hard against the windows. I screamed. Troy floored the gas. The taxi lurched forward, straight toward the gap, straight toward the trees, straight into the unknown darkness ahead. Ouch! As we shot forward, one of the men grabbed the back door handle. Yanking with everything he had, the metal bent, the lock strained. And then, snap, something broke. The door shifted, opened just an inch. The back door shifted, just an inch. But an inch was enough to send terror shooting straight through my spine. Troy slammed his shoulder into it from the inside, trying to force it shut. But the man outside yanked harder, metal groaning, the lock straining, the frame bending under pure force. Keep your head down, Troy shouted. I ducked lower, clutching the envelope so tightly it crumpled in my hands. Another flashlight beam hit the window, this one shaking, as if the person holding it was running toward us. Ouch! They were closing in from every direction. Troy, go! I cried. He didn't wait. He floored the gas. The taxi shot forward, tires spinning, leaves exploding under us, as we barreled toward the narrow opening between the trees. The man gripping the door lost his hold, slammed backward into the dirt, and disappeared behind us as the car lunged into the gap. Branches scraped the sides of the taxi, snapping, clawing, trying to rip the car apart as Troy forced it through a space far too tight for comfort. Troy, the mirrors, I shouted. Forget the mirrors, he yelled back. We just need the engine. He jerked the wheel right, then left, dodging pine trunks by inches. Adrenaline pulsed through my fingertips. Behind us, the white van revved loudly, much too loudly, and jerked forward to follow. It can't fit through here, I gasped. No, Troy muttered, but he's going to try. Ouch! The thought alone made my stomach twist. One wrong angle, and the van would wedge between the trees, blocking the only path back to the main road, sealing us inside the forest with the men on foot. The taxi bounced over roots and rocks, shaking violently. Troy! I cried. This isn't a road. It's not supposed to be, he said. Your father used this route when he needed to disappear. My breath hitched. My father knew about this forest? Troy didn't answer for a moment. Then, he knew everything about this forest, Denise. Before I could ask what he meant, a new flashlight flickered ahead. Just one. Then another. Closer. Troy slammed the brakes. 3 figures stood in the darkness right in front of us. Not the same men as before. Different height. Different stance. Different formation. Troy, I whispered. Who are they? He didn't blink. They're not with the first group. Ouch! A new fear sliced through me. Troy, are there 2 groups after us? He swallowed. Yes. My throat closed. The men ahead raised their flashlights higher, not moving aside, not stepping back, just standing there, waiting. The white cargo van revved behind us, inching closer. We were sandwiched between 2 sets of strangers, one group at our back, another at our front. No path left, no hope in either direction. Troy, I whispered, shaking. What do we do? His voice dropped to a trembling whisper. Pray they want different things from you.
2 groups.
2 sets of flashlights. 2 different threats waiting in the dark. My breath wavered as the white cargo van crept closer behind us. Slow, steady, deliberate, like a beast herding its prey. In front of us, the 3 new figures stood motionless, not attacking, not approaching, just blocking the path with the confidence of people who knew they wouldn't need force to win. Troy, I whispered, why aren't they trying to break in? He exhaled sharply. Because they're not here to snatch you. He nodded toward the first group behind us. They're here to intercept you. Ouch. My heart thumped hard. So they're what? The good guys? Troy shook his head. No, Denise. There are no good guys in this forest tonight. One of the figures ahead raised his flashlight higher, signaling us. Troy froze. Oh no, he murmured. I know that signal. My pulse skittered. You know them? He didn't answer immediately, which scared me more than anything. Finally, he whispered. They used to work with your father. My lungs stopped. My father worked with these men? Doing what? Troy's jaw tightened. Investigations. Surveillance. He tracked things and people normal police couldn't. I blinked hard, struggling to reconcile the father I knew. A quiet, gentle man, with a shadowed figure Troy was describing. And the men behind us? I whispered. Troy looked into the rear-view mirror. They're the ones your father was hunting. My stomach twisted violently. A thud hit the back of the taxi, the first group testing the trunk. Troy stiffened. They're getting impatient. I clutched the envelope tighter. What is in this? I begged. Why does everyone want it? Troy looked at me with something between fear and regret. Your father collected evidence, something dangerous. Something big enough to make powerful people panic. Panic. That word made my skin cold. Troy, why didn't he tell me? He was trying to protect you. Troy swallowed hard. But after he died, certain people thought the evidence disappeared with him. Ouch. So my father didn't just leave memories. He left a target. And Alan. I whispered. How does my husband fit into this? Troy didn't sugarcoat it. Someone offered him money, a lot of it. Enough to make him forget about you, forget about your safety. My breath broke. My chest ached. Alan sold me out. Before I could speak, one of the men from the second group stepped forward. Flashlight angled, so I couldn't see his face. He called out, Denise Harper, your father trusted us.
Give us the envelope.
We'll get you out. Troy's hand clamped around my wrist. Don't you move, he whispered fiercely. They're lying. Your father cut ties with them years ago. Voices rose behind us. The first group rushing the car again. 2 sets of threats. 2 sets of lies. 2 sets of predators closing in. I felt the car shaking from every side. Troy, I whispered, shaking, we're trapped. His voice trembled. No, Denise, we're something worse. What? I breathed. He looked at the envelope. We're the center of a war you don't even know. The forest pressed in tighter. 2 groups closing around us. The white cargo van growling like it was waiting for permission to strike. Troy scanned both sides, calculating, desperate, running out of time. The second group, the ones claiming to know my father, took another step forward. "Denise," the leader shouted. "Your father wanted you protected. He left instructions." Troy slammed his palm on the horn. "Lies," he yelled through the windshield. "He cut ties with you years ago." The man didn't flinch. He just lifted his flashlight, slowly, almost respectfully. Then he said something that cracked something inside me. "Denise, I knew you when you were 6. Ouch. My breath stuttered. "No," I whispered. "No, that's impossible." Troy grabbed my shoulder. "Don't listen to him." "What if he's telling the truth?" I whispered. Troy shook his head fast. "Real allies don't corner you in a forest at night." Before I could respond, the first group behind us banged on the trunk again. Hard. Louder than before. The whole car shaking under the impact. "Time's up," one of them shouted. Another beam of light swept across the back window like a blade. "Troy," I choked. "They're getting ready." He nodded once, jaw tight. "They'll break the glass next." My pulse kicked into overdrive. "How do we stop them?" "We don't." He shifted the car into reverse. "We outrun them." "But the tree." "Not that direction." He pointed to a narrow downward slope behind a cluster of bushes. "We can hit that ditch, slide down, and cut through the lower trail. It's risky, but it's the only path neither group expects." Ouch! Sliding a car down a slope sounded like pure, insane danger. But staying here? Guaranteed death. "Troy, can the car survive that?" "Probably not." His voice trembled. "But you will. I'll get you out." Before I could answer, my phone buzzed again. "Alan." One new message. "Give them the envelope. Don't make this harder." My stomach twisted. "Troy," I whispered, showing him the screen. He read it, eyes narrowing, expression turning dark. "Your husband knows exactly who these men are," Troy whispered. "And he's helping them." Pain rippled through my chest. My entire marriage felt like it was collapsing inside my lungs. The men behind us started shouting orders. Not chaotic, organized.
Trained.
"Break the window. Get the envelope. Move now." Troy's voice dropped to a whisper. "Denise, brace yourself." He gripped the wheel, pressed his foot down, and the taxi jerked backward toward the hidden slope. Then, a sound cut through everything. A new engine. Not the van, not the taxi, not any car we'd heard before. Deep. Rumbling. Coming fast from the right side of the forest. Troy's eyes widened. "No. No, no, no. That's a third party." Ouch. A third group? The rumbling grew closer. Trees shaking. Branches snapping. Someone else was arriving. Someone nobody expected. The new engine roared through the forest. Loud, heavy, aggressive, snapping branches as something big forced its way toward us. Every flashlight jerked toward the sound. Both groups paused. Even the white cargo van cut its engine, like the driver suddenly felt outnumbered. "Troy," I whispered. "What is that?" He didn't blink. "That rumble doesn't belong to amateurs." Ouch. A new fear spread inside my chest. Slow, creeping, cold. The first group backed away from the taxi a few steps, unsure. The second group tightened their formation, flashlights lifted like shields. And then, a black pickup truck burst through the trees on our right, mud flying, engine snarling, headlights slicing straight through the chaos. It skidded to a stop sideways, blocking yet another escape route, another trap, another wall, another problem. "Troy," I whispered, shaking harder. "There's 3 groups after us?" He swallowed hard. "Not after us," he said. "After the envelope." My fingers tightened around it, the paper warm from my shaking hands. The pickup's driver door opened. A man stepped out, alone, barehanded, wearing no mask, as if he was the only one confident enough not to hide who he was. One of the men from the second group muttered, "Oh no, not him." Troy stiffened violently. "You know him?" I whispered. He nodded slowly. "That man used to lead your father's investigations. Until he betrayed him." My breath caught. Why would he betray my father? Troy's voice lowered to a whisper. Because he wanted whatever your father discovered. Just like the rest of them. The man from the pickup truck stepped closer, his boots crunching calmly through the leaves, his presence freezing the air around us. He called out, voice deep and steady. Denise Harper, your father trusted the wrong people, but you can trust me. Ouch! My stomach dropped. 3 groups. 3 lies. 3 different threats telling me they were the answer. How do I know any of you? I shouted through the window. How do I know who's telling the truth? No one answered. Not one voice. Only 3 groups staring at the taxi, like predators circling the same wounded prey.
Troy reached for my hand, gently this time.
Denise, remember this. Your father didn't die in an accident. He was silenced. My entire body froze. No, I whispered. Not my dad, not him. Troy nodded slowly. And whatever's inside that envelope, he thought you were the only one he could trust to keep it safe. The forests rustled behind us. The man from the pickup truck raised one hand. A signal. Flashlights shifted. Men repositioned. Weapons lifted. They weren't just watching anymore. They were preparing. Troy tightened his grip on the wheel. Denise, if this turns violent, none of them care whether you survive. Ouch. My heart cracked. What do we do? I whispered. Troy inhaled shakily. We use the envelope. We use your father's secret. We use the one thing they'll never expect. The pickup truck engine revved again. A warning. The men stepped closer. All of them. 3 groups. 3 threats. And nowhere left to run. The 3 groups closed in, flashlights bouncing, weapons lifting, boots crunching over the forest floor in perfect, terrifying rhythm. The air felt thick, like the trees themselves were holding their breath. Troy, I whispered, they're surrounding us. He nodded. I know. That's why we're not waiting for them to make the first move. Ouch. His words didn't comfort me. They made everything worse. He reached for the small metal box again. The one he said my father left for him years ago. What's inside? I breathed. Troy didn't answer at first. He opened the lid. Inside was a key. Simple, silver, old. And a folded card with my father's handwriting. My throat tightened seeing his script again. Troy whispered, your father told me this key was for a failsafe. Something he built in case these people ever came for you. A failsafe for what? I whispered. He nodded at the envelope in my lap. Open it. My hands shook. I peeled the flap. Instead of documents, a small metal chip fell into my palm. Cold, smooth, no markings. That was it. A chip? I stared at it, confused. Troy, this is just a piece of hardware. Why would 3 groups want? Because that chip, Troy said softly, contains everything your father discovered. Names, transactions, photos, confessions, enough to bury very powerful men. Ouch! My stomach dropped. And Alan, I whispered. Why would my husband? Because someone promised him money. Enough to keep him quiet. Enough to make him sacrifice you. The forest erupted behind us. A loud shout. She has the chip. Get the driver. He knows too much. My heart slammed against my ribs. The first group rushed from behind. The second group shifted left. The man from the pickup truck raised his arm, ordering his men forward. They weren't competing anymore. They were converging. Oh God, I whispered. They're going to kill us. Troy slammed the metal key into the ignition slot beside the steering column. A slot I had never noticed before. The taxi hummed. Not the engine. Something deeper. A soft beep echoed through the dashboard. Troy, I trembled. What are you doing? Your father modified this car, he whispered. He knew this day might come. Suddenly the dashboard flickered. A small hidden screen lighting up, showing a map of the forest. A blinking red pulsed beneath our location. Is that us? I asked. No, Troy said. That's him. Before I could ask who he meant, headlights flared behind the white van. Bright, blinding. Another engine roaring from the deeper forest. Someone else was coming. Someone who knew the failsafe. Someone who recognized the activation signal. Troy froze. No, this can't be. He's dead. Ouch! My voice cracked. Who's coming? Troy whispered the name like a ghost. Your father's partner. Headlights burst through the trees. Bright, sharp, too controlled to belong to amateurs. The three groups reacted instantly. The men behind us aimed their flashlights toward the new vehicle. The second group tightened formation. The pickup truck men stepped back like they'd seen a ghost. The new car, a dark, armored-looking sedan, rolled to a slow stop between the trees, engine humming with steady confidence. My breath caught. Troy, I whispered, is that really my father's partner? He swallowed hard. I don't know. I thought he died in the same explosion that killed your father. Ouch. My chest tightened. My father's death had always haunted me, but this was the first time anyone hinted it might not have been an accident. The sedan door opened. A man stepped out, tall, steady, unfazed by the armed chaos around him. He didn't hide his face, didn't hesitate, didn't even look afraid. He simply said, Denise Harper, your father trusted me once, and you're in danger. A shiver rippled through me. Troy's hand gripped the wheel. Denise, don't believe him. The last time I saw that man, he was working for the people who tried to silence your father. The forest went tense, like everyone was waiting for the next shot to be fired. One of the second group men shouted, Don't listen to him. He's the reason your father died. Another voice, from the pickup truck group, yelled, No. He tried to save him. He was the only one who warned us the explosion was coming. Ouch. My head spun. 3 groups, 3 versions of the truth. And every one of them used my father's name like a weapon. Troy, I whispered, I can't tell who's lying. He clenched his jaw. Assume they all are. The armored sedan man lifted both hands slowly. I'm not here to fight, he said calmly. I'm here for her safety. The chip contains data all of them want. Your father trusted me with half of the encryption key. My breath stuttered. He held up something small. Metal. Identical to the chip in my hand. 2 pieces of the same hole. Troy whispered sharply. Don't move. That man betrayed your father. The man's eyes flicked to Troy. And you didn't, he countered quietly. You followed her tonight. You got her into the forest. Troy stiffened. I'm trying to get her out. The accusation hung in the air. Then, the first group behind us moved closer to the sedan, weapons raised. The armored sedan man stepped back, unarmed, but confident. And then, out of nowhere, the white cargo van slammed its engine into a roar. Its headlights flared. Its wheels spun. Dirt exploded upward. Troy, look out. I screamed. The van surged forward, straight toward us, ready to crush the taxi between 2 vehicles. Troy floored the gas. The taxi shot forward, right between the 3 groups, toward the darkest part of the forest. Ouch! We weren't escaping. We were diving deeper. The taxi shot into the deeper forest, bouncing violently over roots and rocks as branches whipped against the windows. I gripped the seat, heart pounding so hard it hurt. Troy fought to keep the car straight, but the forest had other ideas, shrubs grabbing at the tires, uneven ground jerking us sideways. Behind us, engines roared. The white cargo van, the pickup truck, the armored sedan. All 3 accelerated after us. Troy, they're all coming. I cried. I know, he shouted, knuckles white on the wheel. Just hold on. A sharp ditch appeared out of nowhere. The taxi plunged into it, my body jolting forward, and for one terrifying moment the engine sputtered. Ouch! My stomach dropped. Troy, the car. I've got it. He slammed the gas, and the engine roared back to life. Your father built this thing tougher than it looks. The forest thickened around us, trees growing closer, branches lower, the darkness swallowing the path entirely. Where does this go? I whispered. A clearing, Troy said. And then, if we survive that, your father's real failsafe. My pulse skipped. You keep talking like my father predicted everything. He didn't predict, Troy murmured. He prepared. I swallowed hard as the envelope, still crushed in my hand, felt suddenly heavier. Troy, what exactly did my father discover? He hesitated. Something that connects all these men. Something they killed for. My skin prickled. Is it money? Corruption? What? No, Troy said quietly. It's bigger. It's names, Denise. Names of people who helped cover up disappearances. Bribes, extortion, trafficking. Ouch. My blood ran cold. And my husband? I whispered. How is he involved? Troy's jaw tightened. Someone paid him to deliver you to the airport with the envelope. He didn't know the full details, but he knew enough. I felt something inside my chest break. Alan hadn't just betrayed me. He'd delivered me straight to predators. The trees suddenly thinned, and a pale opening appeared ahead. A clearing glowing faintly beneath the moonlight. Troy, is that it? I gasped. Yes, he said. But a gunshot cracked behind us. I ducked instinctively as a bullet shattered a branch beside the taxi. They're shooting, I cried. They won't hit you, Troy hissed. They need the chip. Another bullet ricocheted off the trunk. The clearing grew closer, just a few more seconds. Then the worst thing possible happened. The taxi slammed into a hidden stump. The front end jerked upward, then down. Hard. The engine sputtered, coughed, died. Ouch! Smoke hissed from beneath the hood. Troy! I screamed. He tried the ignition. Nothing. Behind us, the forest erupted with running footsteps. Dozens of them, closing in fast. Troy grabbed my arm. Denise, listen to me. Flashlights broke through the trees. They're here. He pushed the metal key into my hand, hard. Run to the clearing. Find the tower. Unlock the hatch. Your father left everything there. I stared at him, shaking violently. What about you? He shoved me toward the trees. I'll hold them off. Shadows burst into the clearing behind us. Troy, I screamed. But he yelled one final thing. Something that froze my heart. Before turning to face the attackers. Don't trust anybody who uses your father's name. I ran. Branches tore at my jacket. Roots grabbed at my ankles. The cold night air cutting into my lungs with every breath. Behind me, shouts echoed. Men yelling orders, boots pounding the ground. Flashlights slicing through the darkness as all three groups converged. I didn't dare look back. I couldn't. If I saw Troy fall, if I saw them reach him, I would break. The clearing opened ahead. Wide, empty, ghost silent. But in the center stood something I'd never seen before. A metal tower. Old. Weathered, half swallowed by vines. Like the forest had tried to erase it. At its base, a rusted hatch glimmered under the moonlight. The key in my hand pulsed with meaning. Ouch. My father built this. For me, for this moment. I stumbled toward the tower, shaking uncontrollably. Every sound behind me felt too close, branches snapping, leaves scattering, flashlights striking tree trunks in frantic patterns. Troy, a voice shouted from the woods. Another voice replied. A loud struggle followed. I forced myself not to freeze. The hatch had a small metal plate, dented, scratched, but with a slot shaped exactly like the key's blade. My hands trembled as I lifted it. Come on, please. The first voices were almost at the clearing. I shoved the key in. It resisted. I twisted harder. Rust cracked. Metal groaned. A heavy click echoed, deep, mechanical, like gears waking up after years of sleep. The hatch creaked open an inch. I gasped, then froze. Because something moved inside. A shadow shifted in the darkness below. Not an animal. Not debris. A person? Hello. I whispered, voice tiny, terrified. The figure stepped forward, slow, controlled, like they'd been waiting for the hatch to open. Moonlight slid across a face I didn't recognize. A man in his 50s. Eyes sharp. Expression unreadable. Ouch. I stumbled back. Who are you? He didn't climb out. He didn't threaten me. He simply said, "You're late, Denise." My body went ice cold. You know my name? He nodded once. I worked with your father. He told me if you ever came here, it meant he was gone. Shock hit me so hard I swayed. You knew him, I whispered. Really knew him? Yes, and I know what he hid. Behind me, the forest exploded with movement, flashlights, men yelling, gunmetal glinting between trees. They're coming, I cried. You have to help me. The man held out his hand. Give me the chip. Ouch! My heart stopped. No, I whispered. His expression shifted. Not anger. Not surprise. Recognition. You're just like your father, he said darkly. Suspicious at the wrong time. Footsteps burst into the clearing. Troy, I screamed. The man inside the tower extended his hand further. Choose, Denise. Come down now, or get taken by the men behind you. Flashlights hit the clearing. They saw me. They ran. I clutched the chip against my chest. Trapped, tower in front of me. Attackers behind me, and the man inside stepping closer. The man in the tower stepped closer, hand still extended, the dim light catching the sharp angles of his face. Behind me, flashlights scattered across the clearing as the attackers broke through the tree line, shouting, sprinting, searching. I spun in a panic, trapped between two dangers that both knew more about my father than I did. Denise, the man urged, voice low and steady. Your father trusted me. If you want to live, climb down now. Ouch! My fingers tightened around the chip, so hard it dug into my palm. And hand over the only thing my father left me? I whispered. Why would I trust you? He exhaled, almost disappointed. Because staying out there is suicide. The first group spotted me. There, one shouted. By the tower, move. Their beams blasted across the clearing, landing directly on me. Bright, blinding, too close. I stumbled backward, heart slamming against my ribs. The tower man reached again. You can't outrun them. Not up there. Not out here. You need the hatch now. Before I could decide, a shadow barreled out of the forest on my left. Troy. He was bleeding from his eyebrow, breath ragged, but still running toward me with everything he had. Denise. Get away from him. The tower man's eyes narrowed. The driver. Troy grabbed my wrist, pulling me behind him. Don't go down there, he panted. He's worse than the rest of them. The man in the tower tilted his head. Funny. That's exactly what he said about me. Troy, I whispered, shaking. Who is he? Troy swallowed hard. Your father's partner, before the betrayal. Before the explosion. Before everything went to hell. The man smiled faintly. And your father always knew Troy would twist the story. Ouch! My stomach lurched. Troy, what does he mean? Troy kept his arm in front of me, blocking the tower entrance. He's lying. He always lied. He was part of the group your father was exposing. The tower man shook his head slowly. No. Denise, I was trying to help your father escape. Troy arrived too late, or maybe just in time to make it look like I didn't. A cold tremor slid through my spine. Troy, my voice cracked. Were you there? When my father... Troy's jaw clenched. This isn't the time. Run. But before he could pull me away, the tower man spoke again, calm, deliberate. Your husband met with him. Ouch. The words hit like a punch. My knees almost buckled. Alan met with who? I breathed. The tower man pointed at Troy. With him, last month, to negotiate your handover. Troy stiffened. That's a lie, he snapped, but his voice faltered, just enough to make doubt slip into my chest like poison. The attackers were almost at the tower now. Boots pounding. Men shouting. Weapons raised. Denise, move, Troy screamed. The tower man pointed down the hatch. Denise, choose. I stood frozen between them, heart racing, breath shaking, chip pressed against my chest. One man claiming to protect me. One man claiming to save me. Both tied to my father. Both tied to Alan. And both reaching for me. Footsteps thundered behind me. Hands were inches away. I turned. Hands lunged toward me. Shadows exploding into the clearing as the first group finally broke through the trees. I jerked back on instinct, almost tripping as two men swung their flashlights directly at my face. Grab her, one shouted. Troy shoved himself between us, arms out, voice hoarse. Back off. The men didn't hesitate. One raised a crowbar. Another reached for the door handle of the hatch. The tower man stepped out onto the metal platform, voice cutting through the chaos. She doesn't go with you. She goes with me. Ouch! The two groups turned on each other instantly, shouting, pushing, shoving. A storm of rage and desperation. Troy pulled me aside, whispering fast, Denise, run, now. While they're distracted. But the tower man snapped. If she runs, they'll shoot. They won't risk losing the chip again. Again. That word punched the air from my chest. Troy, I whispered. What does he mean again? Troy stared at the ground for half a second too long. That silence hurt more than any bullet could. The tower man didn't waste a beat. He means your father tried to get the chip out of the woods the night he died. His voice dropped. And someone stalled him. Someone he trusted. My throat closed. Troy? I whispered. But before he could answer, a man from the first group lunged for me. I dodged barely, his fingers skimming my jacket. Troy swung wildly, shoving the man back. Stay away from her. Behind us, the second group repositioned with terrifying precision, forming a line. Weapons raised, like they were preparing to take everyone else down at once. The tower man lifted his hands. You don't want a war. Let me take her. She'll hand over the chip peacefully. I won't, I shouted, clutching it tighter. All eyes snapped toward me. Ouch! A mistake. A dangerous one. Because the moment they realized the chip was in my hand, every man surged forward at once. Troy grabbed my waist and yanked me back. Move! We stumbled toward the far end of the clearing as bodies collided behind us. Punches landing. Weapons clashing. Men shouting orders that dissolved into chaos. I sprinted with Troy, breath burning my lungs. Troy, I cried. Tell me the truth. Did you meet with Alan? His jaw clenched. Yes. Pain exploded inside me. You worked with him? No, he shouted. I met him to warn him. I told him to protect you. But he sold your location instead. My knees almost gave out. He grabbed my arm, forcing me forward. Denise, your father trusted me. He didn't trust any of these men. Not even the partner you think he loved. Another explosion of violence behind us. A scream. A gunshot. Metal slamming against metal. They'll kill each other to get the chip. Troy yelled. Go! Toward the ridge. I ran. Branches scraped my arms. The forest swallowed us again. Then, a voice I recognized too well called out from behind the trees. Denise. Ouch! My blood turned cold. Alan. He was here. Alan's voice sliced through the trees. Sharp, panicked, desperate in a way that didn't match the message he'd sent earlier. I froze mid-stride. My lungs locked. My legs refused to move. He stepped out from behind a cluster of pines, breathing hard, branches caught in his jacket, like he'd been running through the forest too. Denise. Thank God, come here. Ouch! Hearing him say my name hurt more than any chase, any threat, any gunshot. Troy jerked me behind him. Stay back, he yelled. Alan raised his hands. I'm not here to hurt her. That's a lie, Troy snapped. You sold her location. You led them here. Alan's face contorted. That's not what happened. They told me they'd just talked to her. His voice cracked. They said she had something that belonged to them, something her father stole. My father didn't steal anything, I shouted. My voice burned in my throat. Alan stepped closer, palms out. Denise, listen to me. Those men threatened me. They threatened my job. They threatened everything we built. We didn't build anything together, I whispered. You built lies. On top of more lies. Alan flinched like I'd slapped him. Troy snarled. Tell her the truth. Tell her how much they paid you to hand her over. Alan hesitated. And in that hesitation, in that tiny, broken pause, I heard the truth louder than any admission. Ouch. My knees trembled. Troy is twisting this, Alan insisted. They said she was carrying something dangerous. Something her father hid from everyone. I was scared. I didn't know what to do. You didn't protect me, I whispered. You delivered me. Alan's eyes glistened. Denise, please, just give me the envelope.
We can yandy this.
Together. Troy moved sharply between us. She's not giving you anything. Alan's expression shifted, hurt melting into frustration. Frustration melting into something colder, uglier, like desperation turning to anger. Before he could respond, branches snapped violently behind us. One of the first group men burst through the brush, bleeding, frantic, weapon raised. There she is. Get her. Troy shoved me toward the ridge. Run. Alan grabbed my arm. Denise, wait. You don't know what Troy is. Troy tackled him. They hit the ground hard, rolling, struggling, fists connecting with sickening thuds. I backed away, breath trembling, chip clutched against my chest. More men crashed through the trees, flashlights dropping, voices shouting, weapons scraping. I turned and sprinted toward the ridge, a narrow drop with a faint path twisting downward. My legs shook. My lungs burned. Branches whipped past my face. When I reached the edge, a figure stepped into my path, blocking the way down. The tower man. He stood still, too calm, too expectant, as if he knew I'd end up here. Denise, he murmured, it's time you learned what your father really died for. Ouch! My breath froze. Move, I whispered, or I'll. You won't, he said quietly. You're holding the proof he died to protect. He held up the twin chip, the other half of the encryption. Together, he said softly, these unlock everything. Footsteps crashed behind me. Alan. Troy, the attackers. I was cornered, trapped between the ridge drop, my father's former partner, and the men who wanted me dead. My fingers tightened around the chip. The tower man stepped closer. Give it to me, Denise. I stepped back, heels slipping near the edge. One wrong move, he whispered, and you fall. My heels slipped at the edge of the ridge. Dirt crumbling, air rushing beneath me. The forest yawning open like a black, endless drop. The tower man reached for me. Don't move, he warned. You fall. That chip dies with you. I tightened my grip around the metal, breath shaking. Maybe that's better, I whispered. His eyes flashed. No, your father didn't die to have his work buried. He died because one of these men, he pointed behind me, sold him out. Boots thundered closer. Troy. Alan. The attackers. Chaos swelled into the ridge, voices overlapping, leaves scattering beneath frantic steps. Denise. Troy shouted. Get away from him. Don't listen to him. Alan yelled. He's manipulating you. Ouch. Every voice pulled at me like a different nightmare. Stop talking. I screamed. My voice cracked. All three men froze. I'm done being dragged around like prey, I said, shaking. Tell me the truth. Who killed my father? Silence. Heavy, thick. The wind moved before any man did. Then the tower man spoke. He was betrayed by someone who wanted the data erased, he said. But I wasn't the only one there that night. He stared straight at Troy. My stomach twisted. Troy? I whispered. Troy didn't deny it. He exhaled, eyes burning. I tried to save him. I got there too late. When the explosion hit, he shoved the chip into my hand and told me to protect you. And Alan? I asked, voice trembling. The tower man scoffed. He made a deal. He chose money over you, just like he chose safety over your father. Alan choked on air. That's not Denise, I swear, I was scared. Scared enough to sacrifice me? I whispered. Ouch! His silence answered everything. The attackers closed in, shouting to grab me while the men argued. The tower man lunged for the chip. Troy tackled him. Alan grabbed my arm. The ridge gave way under our feet. Everything exploded into chaos. I twisted free and stumbled backward, falling, not down the cliff, but onto a hidden metal grate. It clanged beneath me, a grate my father must have built, a protective plate, a failsafe. Men lunged, weapons drawn. But before they reached me, sirens pierced the forest. Flashing lights tore through the trees. Police. Real police. Officers stormed the clearing from the lower trail Troy had tried to reach earlier. Guns raised, shouting commands. Drop your weapons. On the ground now. Nobody move. Everything froze. Spotlights cut through the darkness, pinning the attackers, the tower man, Alan, everyone. Detective Carla Monroe stepped forward, voice unshakable. Mrs. Harper, we got Troy's distress signal. You're safe now. Safe, a word I hadn't felt in hours. Ouch! My knees almost gave out. They cuffed the attackers first. Then the tower man. Then Alan, who couldn't even look at me as they led him away. Troy limped to my side. You okay? He whispered. No, I said honestly. But I will be. Months later, the encrypted data helped expose an entire network of corruption. My father's work lived on. His legacy protected me long after he was gone. And me, I rebuilt my life, my freedom, my peace. I survived the forest. Now I survive anything. Before you go, tell me in the comments, which moment shocked you the most? And make sure to subscribe so you never miss our next story.